Joining us to discuss this via Skype is the editor of the London Turkish Gazette, Michael Daventry. Michael, thank you very much for joining us today. Now, Mogherini is working hard to convince Turkey to step up the fight against ISIS. Do you think she can when EU's other Western partners, the US, can't?
I think that that actually represents a lack of understanding of the situation by the European Union, because if you ask Turkey, Turkey would tell you that they are actually stepping up the fight against Islamic State. They'd say that they're taking in hundreds of thousands of refugees. They'd say that they've got a strategy in place not only to unseat the so-called Islamic State, but also enact entire regime change in the area. So as far as the Turks are concerned, they think they've got a plan here, and it's the Europeans who've got it wrong.
Now, she's also mainly trying to emphasize that the EU wants to play a role. Now, how important is that?
Well, it's extremely important historically for Turkey, because Turkey has for decades been trying to get into the European Union. And the government that used to be led by President Erdogan used to structure its credibility on European Union related reforms. So Turkey, he said, would become more of a European country. And by basing itself around European norms, it would be more accepted by the world. That used to be the rhetoric. That's beginning to change a little bit now that Turkey has become more confident and it's beginning to look, like you said in your introduction, to countries like Russia as well for more backing.
Now, we know that Europe has been struggling with the problem of homegrown terror, and Turkey contributes to that greatly. Do you think this visit will help in any way to address this?
I mean, this visit's more of a sort of let's get to know each other, because ever since Baroness Ashton left, who is Federica Mogherini's predecessor, they basically felt like they needed to get to know each other once again. There's a new foreign policy chief in place, there's a whole new commission team in place as well, and there is European Union progress talks that aren't progressing. And one of the reasons why it's being held is Cyprus, as you indicated, but it's also just a general feeling in Europe which predates all of this business that's been going on in Syria and in Iraq. It's just this fear that a Muslim country cannot be part of the European Union that is felt by lots of Europeans.
Now, Mogherini also highlighted that Turkey's chances of entering the EU is over 50% now and wishes to improve the statistic. Now, would this have anything to do with Turkey's recent commitments to Russia?
I think it would have everything to do with Turkey's recent commitment to Russia. Remember, when these sanctions against Russia began, this was a couple of months ago now, there was a retaliatory sanction from Russia towards Europe, and it was all in the area of food. So Europe no longer could sell food to Russia. And imagine the first country that Russia went to start signing up for food. That was Turkey. Turkish agricultural produce to Russia has increased multiple times just in the last few months, and the European Union knows that.
Now, as we've mentioned, Mogherini wants to urge Turkey to take on sanctions against Russia. Now, do you think that they will join the EU and the sanctions against Russia, or will they sacrifice EU membership for what's now apparent, bargains with oil, etc.?
Yeah, well, I think there are two issues here. The first one is what I just indicated a moment ago, which is the fact that Turkey's just landed this huge contract, and they're selling food to Russia because Russia desperately needs the food. So they're not about to give that up very easily. But you've also got the added issue when connected to all this, which is the fact that Turkey doesn't see the European Union as having as much credibility as it used to, and it says, why should we bother? And in Turkish public opinion, there isn't a huge amount of rhetoric, as there is in the West, about this fear of a Russian resurgence. People in Turkey, for reasons which we probably shouldn't get into right now, people in Turkey aren't really thinking about whether or not Russia is somebody to be afraid of.
Michael Daventry, editor from the London Turkey Gazette, thank you very much for joining us today.